just over a week away from Animal Crossing New Horizons getting the brand new 3.0 update. This is actually 5 years after the last update that we got for this game, which is absolutely wild to think about. And ever since we found out about this 3.0 update, I may have potentially let my thoughts run away with me. So I decided to, of course, create a little wish list. I wouldn't be me if I didn't have some demands and expectations that I was hoping this update would bring us. Here are my 5 top things that I would love to see in this brand new update, because I'm going to be completely real with you all. I've been playing this game for almost 6 years now, and these are probably my biggest gripes. Kicking it off with something that we have actually seen confirmed in the trailer of 3.0, and that is, of course, batch crafting. When you go to craft now, you can basically create multiples of the same item on the crafting table. We saw in that trailer our character creating 3 wardrobes which had already previously been crafted, and they crafted those 3 wardrobes all at the same time. So I'm thinking, can't they technically just take the UI from that and also all the coding that has gone into that and apply it to different elements of the game? When it comes to those numbers, I'm thinking, can't they actually apply that to maybe splitting items within your inventory? This is something that you can do in games, for example, like Stardew Valley, and can be really helpful when you do want to craft things, or if you want to gift a certain amount to another person that may be visiting your island. There are numerous cases where this could actually come in handy. You go into your pocket, you choose the item that you want, and then you could use those numbers that we've seen in the batch crafting. You could just input how many you wanted to split from your current stack, or you could even use it to eat a certain number of fruit so that you didn't have to repeat the same process of eating the fruit over and over again if you, for example, want to dig up some trees or break some rocks around your island. But not only did the batch crafting have that numerical input, it gives you information of when something is already either in your inventory, so actually in your pockets of your character, or if it is available in your storage already, and how many you actually have in storage. And I think that this storage UI could definitely be added to other areas of the game. I myself am a big Able Sisters shopper. I love clothing in this game. I love dressing my character up for all different seasons, different events, even just for different streams. I use an awful lot of clothes, which means I buy an awful lot of clothes from Able Sisters, but that also means that I buy a lot of repeats. And whilst it's not the end of the world, you can always give away your repeats to friends, you can always just sell them once again, but it does take up a lot of storage, and to be completely honest, Able Sisters just doesn't have the best flow to it anyway, so it can get very repetitive. It would be so much easier if whilst you were shopping in Able Sisters or from Nook's Cranny, if you just hovered over a certain item, it could tell you how many of those items you currently have in storage, or even if you just previously purchased it. It means that you're not filling up your storage with like 6 of the same net that you've forgotten that you've purchased. That could, of course, also be added to the museum, and when you hover over a specific fossil or a painting, maybe if you're even buying something at Red's, it could tell you that you've either previously purchased it or you've also previously donated it to the museum. Coming in at number 2, it is once again to do with Able Sisters, because I am a chronic purchaser of fashion. Sorry, I have a passion for fashion. Call me LaBelle. I've already stated that shopping at Able Sisters can get ridiculously repetitive. If you are anything like me and you like having the clothing items that you enjoy in all the same colors, which honestly is kind of like me in real life. If I find something that I really love as a product, I will pick it up in like multiple patterns or multiple colors, and I will make it last me for a really long time. So it's no surprise that that habit carries itself over to Animal Crossing. But I would love it if you didn't have to buy every single clothing item individually. I would love it if you could just hit multiple items, they'd go into a shopping cart or a trolley or a basket basket at the bottom of your screen, and you could hold multiple items as long as it didn't go over the budget of bells that you currently have in your pocket. It could just read out if you, for example, have 100,000 bells and you actually go over that 100,000 bells, which sounds ridiculous to say, but I fear that's actually really, really easy in Able Sisters. I feel like things are always more expensive than you think they should be, but as long as it's lower than whatever you have in your pocket, I think that you should be able to mass buy items at Able Sisters. It's ridiculous that in the year of 2026, 6 years after this game has released, you have to go through the whole UI, you have to go in and out of the changing room, you have to talk to Mabel repeatedly whenever you want to buy anything. Speaking of going through the same UI and the same conversation over and over again, you know who also falls victim to it? Dodo Airlines. If you've been playing this game from the very beginning, you can probably recite the Dodo Airlines spiel, especially if you're an avid villager hunter. Using Nook Miles tickets is one of the most infuriating things about this game, and it takes the enjoyment out of one of the most fun elements of New Horizons, which is of course using your Nook Mile tickets, redeeming them to fly to an island to find a mystery villager that you may eventually want to move on to your island. I absolutely love villager hunting. I despise having to use Nook Miles tickets. Not only for like the order in which you have to choose, like I want to fly, and then the Nook Miles ticket isn't the default choice, you have to actually actively move down to it, which when you're doing that over and over again eats up so much time. Why do they not just make it available to you if you have Nook Miles tickets in your inventory whilst you're traveling to the island? Just let me speak to Wilbur whilst I'm actively on a Nook Miles island and just let me island hop. If I have the tickets available already, why can I not just say, hey, I didn't find the things I wanted. Can we go to another Nook Miles island, please and thank you? And why doesn't he just take me? It would save so many loading screens, so many misclicks of interactions, and it would just save players so much time. The T in NMT doesn't stand for tickets, it stands for time. Nook Miles really stealing your time away from you. Of course, classic Tom Nook. I would expect nothing less from a system that has Nook in its title. In fourth place, we have something that I may have potentially stolen from Stardew Valley, but is something that I always turn on in Stardew Valley and would be so ridiculously helpful in Animal Crossing New Horizons. And it's a grid placement guide for placing items or for terraforming. I so many times have planted a tree on a terraformed piece of land on my island and it just hasn't grown into anything because it allows me to place it, but it doesn't have enough space around it to actually grow into a tree, which is super infuriating. So my idea for this is when you are placing something down that either can't grow if it's a tree or that just like isn't available to be placed down there, it could turn red. But more importantly, I just want this to kind of highlight the grid system in front of you so you actually know where you're hitting those tiles. So many times in this game, I've been terraforming and I've slightly just been misaligned with the place that I actually want to interact with, and it's completely ruined a water feature, or I've had to then do like 10 steps to get it back to where I was, and that could all be solved with just having a little grid that comes up as you hover over it to show the exact tile placement of where you actually want to interact. And last but certainly not least, along the same lines as having a grid placement guide, why is it that I'm still fighting with custom paths? I can't even count the amount of times that I've been running around my island, I'm trying to interact with an object on my island, or I'm trying to pick up a fruit from the ground that has fallen off a tree, and all of a sudden I kick the dust over my custom paths and they just disappear. I could probably run around my island and it's not even fully complete yet, it's not fully decorated, frustrated, and you could probably point out so many places on my custom paths where I have done this, and there is currently no path placed down because by the time I've kicked the dust over it and got rid of that custom path, I haven't felt like going into my phone, going into the terraforming option, going to click the specific custom path that I need, and then laying it down. I don't think that you should be able to remove custom paths unless you are already in the terraforming app. You can't place custom paths without being in the terraforming app, so why have they not locked being able to brush over paths also to the terraforming app? Sorry, I know, I feel like I got a little bit heated, but what can I say? It's been 6 years and there's so many quality of life features that still exist in this game that I personally believe just shouldn't exist. I'm almost 32, you know, I'm starting to get clicky fingers, and the last thing I want to do is sit through and press a bunch of buttons for something that could be made so simple. I forgot to mention, but unfortunately we did get confirmation that they weren't actually adding any other slots for the custom patterns. So I know that a lot of you have been wanting to see that. I have heard reasons why that is the case. Obviously, we are getting a Switch 2 version for this game, which should probably run at least a little bit smoother and less laggy, but I don't think that they'd be able to give more custom designs to the Switch 1 because of the hardware. That seems to be the general consensus in the Animal Crossing community, and that kind of does make sense. I am a person who is still playing Animal Crossing on their Switch 1. I wouldn't mind if maybe the Switch 2 version did have a couple more, although I can imagine that a lot of players would actually be really annoyed with that if they were still playing on the Switch 1 and they didn't get the custom patterns. So I kind of see it from both sides. I know that they can be limiting, but I also understand the reasoning behind the hardware maybe not being able to cope with the amount of custom patterns, especially because if you already have all of those filled and you're using them on your island, there is a lot of lag already. But that is about the only thing that I have heard confirmed from people's wish lists about things that they would like. So I have my fingers crossed that maybe some of these make it into the update, but I'm not holding out any hope, especially because we haven't seen any of these in the trailers. People do say that Nintendo can hold stuff back from trailers so that we as players are surprised once they do actually drop. I'm hoping that that is the case for this wish list, but I would also love to hear what you lot would like to see in the 3.0 update. Are there any major quality of life issues that I maybe haven't spoken about in this video that you would love to see that would definitely help with your enjoyment of New Horizons? Or you can just leave them for future iterations of Animal Crossing. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I will speak to you all in my next one. Bye now.